Well, I never ever guessed I would be making a second video on how to repair an oil-filled radiator. This one's being repaired because the cable became so old and crusty that it just breaks. Look at that. So I've had to you should have seen the state of the plug. What I've done is, rather than boring you with taking it to bits, what you can do is you can watch it being put back together, and that'll give you the idea of how it was took apart in the first place. And I should talk you through that anyway. Right, you don't really need to see my head, so let's just get on with this, shall we? I've already pulled the cable through, taken off the tensioner. I'm using a smaller screwdriver now just to remove the earth cables. What I might do is leave that earth one in and just cut the wire off it. There we go, just cut that off because I'm going to use that as a washer to put the new earth wire into. Okay, let's get out the connector blocks. This is going to be a bit awkward to do because I'm going to need to remember that we don't touch that one, right? So we go red for live, neutral is grey. Whatever colour that was in the old days. I don't know what it would have looked like. Is there a bit of cable to show me the colour? It used to be blue, I think. That's wrecked. So if I remember the brown goes in the middle, that'll be enough. Is that enough to get it out? Yep. So brown in the middle. I do have some flex, which is a higher rating than the other one. It's got a lot more copper in it and it's a lot thicker. I just want to check I've got a luff. Yeah, that's a bit longer than what the original one was. I can zoom in when I do this. These wires go to the thermostat. This is going to be a proper bodge. How long were the wires on the other one? That's the easiest way to do it. Just to strip it back as minimum amount as possible. I've got wire cutters and things, but I'm just going to nibble a bit off of this. I'll tell you, when I saw this the other day, I'm like, why is this not working? The plug, the cable had literally broken right here on the edge. So it's hanging by the earth cable with the neutral live just showing. So if you'd have touched that, you could have got a pretty nasty shock. So it shows that at home, so I'm not sure how old this is, but at home you should check your cable, especially on high powered items like a heater, regularly, just to check the condition, because I didn't even think of doing it really. So yeah, the rubber that they've used was pretty rubbish. We'll see how this cable holds out. Let me read what it says on it. It should have a heat thing on it or something written. Oh, here we go. Made in England. .5 mil. Alright, let's pull these off. Do this one a bit longer. I would normally solder these. I don't want to solder them today. If I remove this, do you think I could just thread them in? They look like I could just thread them in. Remember, it was brown in the middle. What would be a good idea is to thread that through the grommet. Oh, might be easier actually to thread it that way through rather than taking this all to pieces. Yep. Threading it back, because otherwise I've got to take all of the handle off. I think that last one that I fixed, I don't even know if I remember fixing it in the video. I think it was more of a joke video. But please people, if you've never done anything with electrics, do not attempt to repair this yourself, because you could kill yourself. Alright, this is not something to be messed about with. If you're not qualified, or at least trained in some way, don't do it. Just a little skinny live wire sticking out. Not doing the screws up the right amount can cause it to have high resistance and overheat at the joint and spark and catch fire. Perfect. I did notice that the wires themselves weren't pushed into these cable things. They were just left hanging around, floating in the breeze, as they say. Might have cut the blue one a bit too long. Let's see, make sure the screw's very loose. I can put the cable in. That's all gone in, that's awesome. It's quite an easy thing to change, and it saved me a lot of money. These are quite expensive now, I mean £50–60, and they're not really worth that much. But you're not throwing it in the bin, there's no rust on it or anything, it's really good condition still. So I don't want to just throw it in the bin. I mean, the wheels have fell off. Earth wire now. Must connect the earth. And I said I would just pop that under here, didn't I? So I might strip the earth back a bit more. Depends on how... Oh, it has a little washer underneath. Lost the screw. Yeah, we've got a washer already. I'll just push that round at an angle, and that should slide underneath that washer. In fact, I'm going to take the grip wash off that. The screw's not long enough. Keep the grip wash, I mean, but we'll get rid of the... Is that alright? It's not going to pull through, is it? Okay, to make this easier, it would be easy just to solder a new thing on. Don't really want to put the soldering iron on. Just make a small little loop like that. Put the screw through it. No, come on. That's it. Oh dear, this is rather fiddly. Let's give it another go. Is that right? Come on. Doesn't want to go into the hole that was meant to be for. Try a Phillips screwdriver, it might be able to keep it straighter. That's better. Right, so that's gripped in, nice and firm. There you go, look, nice and firm. And I'll just pop the cable tie on this. I think it was a long one I was using. This is almost done, all I've got to do is put a plug on it. This has got quite good cable, I don't know what the word is, things to stop you pulling the wire out by mistake. It's got one here, and it's also got one right here. So you've got two lots. And they've even put some insulation on that one so that when the cable's down it's not actually pressing against the metal. It's quite good. Just a shame they used the wrong type of cable. There we go. This cable's a lot thicker than what they use, so I'm going to need to loosen that off a bit. That's it. Don't want to break the cable thing, and I should have. Do I use a long screw or a short screw? Looks like I'm a long one. Yeah. I won't over tighten this. I mean, it's as long as you can't pull it out. It's not going anywhere. Okay, so get back to the disassembly part. Yeah. Very important part. A very, very thin spring. So before I pop this back on, I need to get rid of the dust. That'll always do a bit of good. Can't get in there normally. Check everything else is all in nice, which it is. Put the neutral in the neutral. The line, as it's called, is a bit loose. Hang on, let's push that down into this thing. Yeah, that's good, mate. So I'm going to put. I wasn't sure which way round these came off, but I don't think it really matters because it's just a thermostat. I'm going to pop those on, and then I think it's got, yeah, it's a little hook at the bottom. That looks good. Nice and neat. Everything turns. There's a screw that goes in the top under a little flap. Let's have a look in there then. In the top there's a little screw, so you've got to straighten the top up. That's it, nice and tight. And then we've got a little do not cover sign. That's for these little vents here, I suppose. Clip that back in place. Now, the reverse of taking this to bits is this little thing here clips all the way around on the edge of the seam. Obviously you need to get it nice and straight. Wasn't that difficult to get off. So we'll try and get that to close that up again. It's quite a tight gap. Might need to get my hammer. Hammers fix a lot of things. I guess when they built this, they didn't expect anyone to want to repair it. Well, that's a good stuff. That's good. That one on. That looks good. All nice and tight. That went on a lot better than I thought it would. So I used a little spring now, which I did take off with pliers. I'm trying to think, that just hooks on there and then on there. So it's a lot easier to put back on. Oh, he says, as it nearly stabs him in the fingers with the spike. Yeah, right, so he's going to want to keep popping out this side. So let's hold that in place. And then put that one in there. So, and then that hid behind the little metal thing. So what I'm going to do now, being as I've bent it around a bit, is I'm just going to squeeze this together all the way around.
Doesn't have to be done really tight there. It's like it's ready for show. But there's bits where it got bent. I'm not finished here. I'm sure when they make it, they have a big clamp thing. Okay.
Right. Put the feet back on. Look how disgusting it is under there. Look. Ugh. That is proper filthy. You don't get to see this bit. It's hidden. Well, I've got no wheels, so you could put new wheels on it, but I'm not really bothered about them. And the wheels go on with a metal bracket which fits over the inside there. And you hook into that, I think. That's it, hook it into there. There we go. And then just do up the wing nut. That's it. I'm going to turn that around so you can see better. Yes, just hook that metal in and then just gradually do this up. This is quite, give it a bit of wiggle. I've noticed this bit's poking up, but you can't keep that down. Right, so all this needs now is a new plug on it. I can't find a new plug, so I'm going to put the old one back on because plug's a plug. It didn't do any damage to the plug, and I don't think the plug itself was faulty in any way. I always like to take the cable connector all the way out. It's not connector. I don't know what it's called. I ain't a professional repairman. This is only my second video I've made of repairing these things in years and years and years. Right, the only important thing you've got to do is make sure your earth cable is longer. So when I'm doing a plug, I think about how much cable needs to be put in. So if I put it to the top of the plug like that and strip it to there, that's usually going to be enough. And I'm kind of showing you that you can do all these jobs with just a minimum of tools. I mean, these are like cheap old pliers. I've got proper cable strippers and everything out there, but I don't need it. Hey, look, just pull it and bend it around. Just before you do the plug, just check you haven't damaged any bits around the edge. What that white powder is. Disgusting. The earth ones obviously needs, I've cut that very long, don't need it that long, but you can leave it, because what happens is if there's if the cable gets pulled out, like when it went faulty before, the earth one will always stay in after it's ripped out the live and the neutral. So I'm going to leave it probably that far in. So let's strip these back a bit. I guess about there will do for that one. This one, yeah, do that about the same length. I'm going to cut a little one, it was a little bit too long. There we go, one. This comes with practice when you're stripping wires back. You get it all done right, and then you just pull it wrong, and you end up stripping back, ripping all the copper cables up. See, that's pretty. See that? Perfect. Do you want a bit closer? Okay. So I'm going to put the live wire in first. I call it live because it's got L on it, but apparently it's the line. So I put the line in nicely. No cables showing. I'll show you a close up when I've done this. This could be quite funny because if I plug this in and it explodes, yeah, and then I usually pop this one up a bit, the neutral, and push it in like that. That's it. It doesn't matter if it sticks out the back a little bit, the cable, the copper. That's it, so it looks good. I'm not entirely happy with the live. There's no point rushing these things. Look, you see how it's not all the way in on the live. So I'll just loosen that off and push it in. You don't. When you're doing stuff like this, it's not worth cutting corners. This is not 5 volts. This is deadly stuff. So just put it back in, twist it in, make sure it's completely right up next to the flex cover. Oh, I don't know what that stuff's called. It's just stuff. Put it back in. Let's get another little tight, not too much. And then the earth cable or ground goes in. Right up close to the edge here. Push it into place. You see, you can have a little bit of wire sticking out the back. When you press it down, it disappears. So that's fine, you know. And obviously, if you've got to stuff loads of cable back, then that's bad. So, yeah, I mean, the blue isn't perfect. So I'm going to take that back out and do that again. I can still see cut. The thing is, when you're putting it in, the cable itself stretches. So when you've done this and pulled it all around, it's stretching, so it's basically going back to its original state, and it just moves back a bit. So you've put it in right up to the, you saw me do it, right up close to the edge, like that. And then as the cable's relaxed and gone back to its original state, it's showing wires. And most people will be like, oh, I can't be bothered to that, but you have to be bothered. There we go, look, perfect. This is going to be how to wire a plug up as well. A little bit of wire poking out the back there. Let's just make sure that's not going to affect anything. Just push it down. There we go, that's in. But there is a little bit of damage on there. Well, that's from the previous cable. There's a bit of rubber, so I'm just going to nibble that off. There you go. So there's no damage to this at all, this plug. Now the next thing to do is wonder where there's the fusing. Well, everything's done. Just got this to put in from the other side. I cannot remember what it's called, you know. It's a cable something. Now I wouldn't tighten this up completely. I'll show you a little tip. Just get that in enough, like that. Have a look at all your wires. Make sure all of your wires are done. Look, there's no gap there, and no gap there. This wire's poking up, so what I would do, once it's pushed in, it's fine. So you just make sure that when they're all the way in, there's no cables sticking up. That is a perfect way to wire a plug. What I do now is I'll put the back on the plug and I will screw the plug together nice and firm, and then I would just give this a little push, just so that there's no strain on any of the wires, and then just tighten them up a little bit on each side. And you can see it's squashed it up good. So, you should plug it in and see if it explodes, because I bet that's what you've all been waiting for the explosion. Okay, here we go. I will first of all put this on 0 and turn it off. So I'll plug it in. The fact that the lights are still on is good. I will now flick. Oh, and there we have 2 little red lights. How fantastic is that? So we've now got a repaired oil-filled radiator. I can put that back in my hallway and keep my hallway nice and warm. Thank you for watching the part 2 of repairing an oil-filled radiator, and one that was actually successful. I'm not sure where the heating elements are in here. I'm just going to check before I go that it does actually get warm. Yeah, that's getting hot. So I think the heating element runs through the bottom, this part of the radiator. So I'm going to take this into my kitchen, give it a good clean, and then put it back outside in the hallway. Thank you for watching. Bye!